Hi folks, well I'm out for the summer and I got a lot of stuff I want to work on with my banjo, and a lot of the new stuff I'm working on is involving lots of backwards rolls. In particular, I'm working on kind of melodic, chromatic type of licks, and it has some extended backwards rolls, and I realized I'm really shaky at that. That's something I need to work on. So I wanted to go over a few things with you. I've got about 4 lessons planned to add some syncopation to your playing, and this is more towards the, I would say, intermediate. Once you kind of get a lot of forward roll stuff going, and you can play basic arrangements and basic backup. These are some things you can add in to make it sound more professional, to add syncopation to it. So the first one is talking about licks that have backward rolls in it, or where you can put in backwards rolls. And when I say backwards rolls, most of the time that means putting in 1 or 2 or 3 backwards rolls before you switch back to going in a forward direction. And you hear it in a lot of places. Let me go over a few of the famous examples. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on individual licks, but just to kind of give you a big grouping of ideas to kind of get you thinking in the right direction. One of the most famous is on Groundspeed, and that's where you've got 2 backwards rolls and then 2 forwards rolls. And you can actually use that same progression in a lot of other places. So it typically sounds like this in Groundspeed. So that's 2 backwards, and then it turns into forwards. But besides just teaching you that lick, I want you to think about, or show you some other places where that same progression will work. And a lot of times, if you're not really mastering everything yet and you're putting some backwards, some forwards in, just to start with, you can try that same progression, 2 backwards, 2 forwards, and that'll really mix up your playing and make it sound a lot better. Here's another one on a C lick. So maybe you're taking something like 9-pound hammer. So once again, hey Butterball, once again I'm doing 2 backwards and 2 forwards. So I go to the C chord and I go backwards, 1, 2, 3, and then move to the position here, which is fretting at my 1st and 2nd strings on the 3rd fret. Go 1, 2, 3 again. That's the 2 backwards, and then it turns around and starts going forwards when you get to the 5th fret. So now it turns into 3, 2, 1, and then it goes to your 5th string, 5, 2, 1. Let me try it all again. Backwards, backwards. Now, a lot of times you can end with a backwards roll at the end. So 2 forwards, 2 backwards, 2 forwards, and then you can come out of it by going a backwards roll. So the last thing I did was go 1, 2, 3. You can do it the 3rd fret open or the 3rd fret, 3rd string open or 3rd string at the 2nd fret. So I'm trying to get the idea across to you that you can do 2 backwards, 2 forwards. It really starts to mix up your playing. Another thing you can do is when you're holding a chord position. A lot of times it's a partial chord position, like the C7. And you got a C7 right here that you hear on Shucking the Corn. I can play it. So it's 2 backwards, 2 forwards, and backwards. So 2 backwards, 2 forwards, and then you end on a backwards roll. And do it slow. Okay, and you can find these licks tapped out in lots of places. Once again, trying to get the idea about getting the 2 backwards, 2 forwards, a backwards, trying to mix up your rolls there to get some syncopation in. You can also do the same thing at your C7, or even just your C position, but your C7 right here. And for some reason, when you do that backwards roll, you give a lot of emphasis to that first string. It's got more of a driving kind of beat to it. For example, let me do, how about Life's Railway to Heaven. So that was kind of plain, kind of forward rolls, or you can do a 1 forward backwards, and it just kind of sounds nice and happy. But if you start putting in the C7 and making the backwards, forward stuff, it's going to start to sound more syncopated and more driving. So hear the difference. So holding the C7, it's backwards, forwards. So that backwards 2 times, forwards 2 times, and then a lot of times you end on 1 backwards roll to get to the next position. And another famous place you hear that a lot is on your split D position. And you know, you'll hear some people that say you can mix it up however you want to, and you can. But it's really hard to do to start with. So I would suggest kind of sticking with the 2 backwards, 2 forwards until you really get that ingrained in your brain, and then you can add to it and start doing other things from there. Let's see. That part right there sounds real syncopated, and I think on that one I'm going forwards, forwards. So I think I'm doing something a little bit different than what I'm suggesting with the 2 backwards, 2 forwards. I think you can do 2 backwards, 2 forwards, and it would sound fine. Yeah, it works just fine, and it has that syncopation. So 2 backwards, 2 forwards, and ending on a backwards. And once again, there's specific licks you can learn, or it's just holding a chord position. That works a lot of times good if you're holding a C position, or holding a D position, or a C7. Okay, so just the idea here is to start mixing it up, and don't be afraid of the backward rolls. It took me, I really started doing this over the past year. From year 2 to year 3 is where I've been starting to really work on that. The other reason you need backward rolls is when you're starting to create your own melody-based solos. If you're doing all forward rolls, you're not going to be able to hit all the melody notes. Your fingers are going to get twisted around, or you're going to have to leave lots of space to be able to hit the right note at the right time just by going forwards. So you're going to need to work in those backward rolls, and the more you get it ingrained in your fingers to do that, the easier it's going to be to kind of do it on the fly and create your own solos. And when you start to go further, which is where I'm at now, starting to try some melodic or chromatic licks, that has an extended period of backward rolls. So instead of just doing 2 backwards, I've got to do 3 or 4 backwards rolls sometimes. Like if you're playing Home Sweet Home too, it's got a lot of backwards rolls in it. I haven't mastered that one yet, so I'm not going to try to show that one to you. But you start doing the melodic stuff, and there's a lot of backwards rolls in it when you start getting up the neck at this position. It sounds really cool, and up to a month earlier, I would have had no clue how to play that. But you're going 1 time forwards, but then it's 2 or 3 backwards rolls there, and then this chromatic lick has even more. So that kind of stuff right there. Anything up here at this position, you're going to have to deal with a lot of backwards rolls. All right, that's enough for now. I got some more stuff that I'm going to try to put up. Maybe the next day or two, or it may be in a couple weeks, but I'm going to add in other ways you can get some syncopation in your playing. And we're going to talk about more syncopated vamping. People ask me about a lot. And then also some backup. Instead of just playing rolls on your backup, you can start to add in some syncopation. Kind of single string kind of walking ideas to go in some of your backup playing. So be looking for that. Thanks a lot.